you doing?
We're going to change a lot. Obviously, the result, you're talking about that leading into the game, what led to so much success on your side of the ball?
I thought our guys did a really good job of handling the moment. Coach B talked about before the game, like surviving their moment, right? And I thought our guys did a good job of that. Like that first drive, they hit us on a couple designers of the week, chunk yardage plays, and I thought we responded well after that, and I just locked in and played our style of ball, and did well with the in-game adjustments and played physical, and can't speak enough about the way those guys are playing up front. Coach Jameson's got those guys playing at a high level, and you just see continuously snap in and snap out, guys playing with extension and staying in their gaps and just being physical at the point of contact. And we played good complementary football as well. With Barry and those guys being able to score off of sudden change opportunities, and they just stayed the course through 4 quarters, and we're able to come out with a win.
What do you think has clicked the most for Calvin in these first 5 games?
I think he trusts what Coach Jameson is preaching in terms of the techniques and fundamentals. He is comfortable in the system, and he's worked his tail off. With Tank in the off season, his body has changed. I mean, he's a big old grizzly bear out there. You know what I mean? He's every bit of 330 and is as light on his feet as any 330-pound guy I've ever seen. So, he'll continue to improve as well. He kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by the law firm sitting on either side of him. You know what I mean? But a lot of the reason why those guys are making plays is because of what he's doing and the amount of attention he's attracting. And it's awesome for us because he's sitting right over the ball, every snap, and that can be stressful for a center to have somebody like him, sitting staring at you in the face, snapping to snap out, and he's doing a good job.
Speaking of underappreciated, Quan Martin plays a playmaking position right there where every play is coming right at him. How important has he been to your defense, both against the run and pass?
Oh, he's been huge. I can't speak enough about the value he adds to what we're doing schematically. You talk about a guy that has corner cover skills and is able to cover the slot, which is that's a difficult task. He's also got safety mentality in the run game. That first play of the game, like he laid a lick on a wideout over the middle, and that there was a similar play later in the game where that same wideout had kind of T-Rex arms and dropped it, and I think it's a direct result of him knowing that Quan was sitting in the middle of the field. So he has came a long way in terms of his technique and his confidence. He's going to continue to improve, and I think his best football is still ahead of him.
Curry last year, now Kendall this year. What about either those players or that free safety spot allows that spot to just create so many turnovers in big plays?
I think it's a combination of both, right? The talent level and where that position is designed to make plays. A lot of times they're sitting in the middle of the field and are able to overlap deep balls just by the nature of the way we're structured. But his detail on studying quarterbacks' operations and recognizing formations that teams like to throw vertical out of, and who are the targets that quarterbacks are giving the deep shots to. Those are all film prep and studying throughout the week. And so when you get to game day and those situations occur, you got a chance to make plays and have an opportunity to get turnovers, and he's definitely taking advantage of that.
You mentioned observers keep talking about the physicality your defense is playing with. What's key for you as a coach and the rest of your coaching staff to bring that out of them?
I think it's competition. We are in a unique situation where we don't have like one star player on defense, right? It's like a culmination of you got 2-3 guys up front, you got a couple guys on the edge, you got a couple guys in the middle, and then you got a couple guys in the secondary. They're all playing at a high level right now, that are all already competitive, that are already tough kids. So that sort of breeds throughout the entirety of the defense. And so if you're not tough, you're going to stick out in our defense, right? You know, those guys are competitive and hold each other accountable. So I think that adds to the toughness factor and just the willingness and the want to go seek out contact. Then, you know, I think Coach B, the way he has set up the schedule, it allows for guys to recover after games. It allows for guys to be fresh going into Saturday and feel good physically going into game day, and that also allows you to play fast and play physical.
You've mentioned that first drive, Ryan, where they go down and score, and how the players didn't flinch. But you as a staff and you as a coach are allowed to get better too. Would you as a younger coordinator have, you know, not panicked, but just said, okay, this isn't working. We gotta figure out something else.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of been even keel, especially on game days. I just think if from my seat, you know, in my role on this team or on teams that I've coordinated, you know, if I'm panicking, the players are gonna notice that, right? And so, you know, I've always tried to be even keel in that sense. But I do think from a player's perspective, like the experience that we have out there, and the preparation that they go through, I think that allowed them to not flinch either. Like I said, most of the yardage that was given up that first drive were things that they hadn't shown on tape yet. And so, you know, once we talked about those things and made those in-game adjustments, you know, they felt good about the game plan and felt good about their matchups.
Right, wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't ask. Your alma mater has a job open.
Yeah.
Your name's getting attached to it, of course. Just how do you feel about that and that place?
You know, obviously it's flattering, right? I think the recognition is a direct result of what we've been able to do up to this point here. But that's pretty much the extent of it, right? Like, you know, there's the nostalgia factor kind of goes out the window when you get into this profession. Like that, you know, I haven't stepped foot in Boulder since 2011 when I was a coach at Arizona. We were playing against Colorado in Folsom Field, right? And, you know, my home is in Savoy, Illinois, and you know, I am the defensive coordinator here at the University of Illinois, and I love my job. I love working for Coach B. I love the leadership here, and I love the direction we're going in. And this locker room is the most fun group that I've ever had a chance to coach. So, like that's pretty much it. My focus right now is you know how can we limit Iowa from getting on the scoreboard, and how quickly can we get the ball back to our offense.
You obviously came here part to learn from Brad about being a head coach. Like, what have you learned from him about being a head coach for whenever that opportunity?
I mean, a ton. You know, like one of the reasons why I came here, like it's not a secret. Like, you know, I've got career aspirations and goals, and one of the more attractive things about this opportunity was Coach Brett's, you know, history with his coaching tree, right? Like he's had a lot of defensive coordinators on his staff get head jobs, and is known as a really, you know, one of the best head coaches in terms of managing games, managing locker rooms in our profession. Like that's one of the things he's most revered for, you know, in our coaching community. So, you know, was I ready, you know, before I got here to be a head coach? I probably thought I was, and now being with Coach B in year two, there's no way I was ready, you know. And I'm learning a ton just about, you know, how to manage a locker room, you know, how to set up a calendar, and what kind of things to be paying attention to, and you know, how to win games by first, you know, stop from losing games. And so, you know, all those lessons are things that I'll take forever, and I'm still learning, still growing, and very appreciative of his tutelage in my career.
Coach, Iowa haven't scored a ton of points, obviously, but what are some challenges they present to your defense?
You know, Iowa is Iowa, right? Like it is Big Ten football, much like it was a week ago. You know, their offensive line is very well coached. They work very well together. The center is quick. You know, he does a great job of cutting guys off and getting them out of their gaps. They play downhill. You know, they use their tight ends. They got a history of having great tight ends in that program, and you know, they play with two tight ends on the field most of the time. And so, you know, it's going to be big boy football. They're gonna want to play downhill, and so we gotta match intensity with intensity, and match physicality with physicality. We gotta be able to get off the field when those opportunities come.
This is the third year in a row that you evaluated Iowa. Have you seen different wrinkles in their offense this year than the last two?
Yeah, you know, it's really like from week to week, like they are who they are, right, from an identity standpoint. Like there are certain schemes that carry over from game to game, but every week, like they're well coached, and so they're gonna they'll find things that maybe attack the defense's structure and try to get them out of their gap integrity. And so you'll have some designers of the week, especially in the run game, and you've seen that trend this year, you know, through their first five games. So, you know, there are plays, you know, they ran a week ago that we hadn't seen yet. And so I'm sure they're going to go back and look at how we played them last year and see what worked. And, you know, we just got to do a good job of being who we are and maintaining the consistency with which we're playing, you know, details and alignments and assignments, communication, all those things. And then when the ball snapped, go play.
What kind of confidence does your defense take moving forward after holding one of the most profound rushing offenses in the country over 2 yards?
Yeah, I mean they were confident going into that game. I think it was just a validation of their confidence was the result of the game. You know, but we watched the tape. There were a lot of things to correct off of that tape as well. So you know, our goal is just to keep improving, keep getting better, and you know, our confidence was already high. You know, so I don't think that's going to change.
Was there
You talked
indication?
about your guys not flinching. How has that, if at all, evolved from the time that you first got here to where it is now?
I definitely think it has. I just think the experience. You know, we got some older guys on. You know, specifically secondary. You know, up front, those guys have played a lot of ball. You know, and our linebackers have played a lot of ball. So I think that adds to just the experience. You know, the not flinching factor, right? Like it was a great atmosphere. They got a full stadium, and you know, they came out, you know, trying to punch us in the mouth a little bit. But like I said, we got the sideline, and everybody's like, "Coach, we're gonna be good." They ain't getting in the end zone again, you know. And to their credit, they were able to hold true to that.
Were there, you know, markers or instances where you thought Kendall was going to be at this level this year? Because as a fifth-year guy, it's not like he's been a 3-4 year starter.
Yeah, well, we had him in our dime package toward the end of the year last year. Specifically, like the Iowa game a year ago, he made some plays in that dime package. And then, you know, when we found out Kirby was going to enter the draft, you know, we talked and you know, with his size, with his skill set, with his corner coverage background, I thought it would be very advantageous for him to take a look at moving to that free safety spot. And you know, he saw what Kirby did, and you know, he had a front row seat to it. And so you know, I think it was attractive for him, and you know, he loves this place, he loves this university, and you know, now I think he would tell you he's happy as heck that he stayed, and you know, it's playing out the way he thought it would play out. We just got to keep him going.
Number one scoring defense through 5 games in the country. Is that a point of pride, something that let's talk about in the locker room?
No, I don't think they're, you know, it's funny because like, you know, stats get thrown out there, and you know, our social media is doing a good job. Obviously, it's advantageous in the recruiting realm. And so, you know, you get guys retweet or repost things, but nobody's really talking about it because, you know, we're still in the season right now, right? And so the focus isn't on, you know, the end results or defensive rankings. The focus is on how to beat our next opponent and get another win. So that's, you know, as far as I can see and what I felt, that's where the focus is.
Is having a
Seems like-
defensive line that's maybe kind of been able to dictate things up front afford you to do more or different things kind of with everybody else around them?
Absolutely. Like the game still will start and end up front, you know. And so with what they're able to do and put pressure on the quarterback and maintain gap integrity and free up our linebackers as well. And a lot of those guys are, you know, because of the one-on-one situations they get to on front, are making a lot of plays. And so they definitely add to our success and you know, catalyst of our success as well.
Seems like you brought out the blitz packages a little bit more against Wisconsin. Was that the opponent, something you saw, or is that a natural progression of the defense?
Was it more opponent, like what we thought they were going to do, and really what was working throughout the course of the game. You know, they got us on a couple third downs early, and we weren't really bringing pressure. So that was, you know, just adjusting to what we were seeing, and our guys, you know, they get excited when we do bring pressure.
Have you noticed that they
Last one here for Coach Walters.
get caught up some blitzes in pretty critical moments? Do they feed off that? Can you read that's resonating with them, that mutual trust there?
I know, like, if I call it pressure, that's like if I call it corner blitz, like that corner is excited, you know what I mean? Or if I call it a backer plug, like those linebackers are excited, you know. So I do think that they enjoy that aggressive style, you know. But again, we've had games where, you know, we got off the field on third downs pretty frequently and we didn't bring any pressure. You know, it's all predicated on what we feel like is going to be successful in trying to win a game.